Good morning and good afternoon. It's Monday, the second Monday of January. I'm going to keep saying that until we're at how many weeks are in a year? the 52nd Monday of the year. Something I'll be saying that. And welcome to another episode of Before Coffee here on Monday. We're going to cover anything that's happened over the weekend and also anything happening today, like speeches and strikes and protests and all sorts of trends that are going on. So I guess get ready to watch that with our headline. Today on Before Coffee, Germany train strikes, delays and cancellations expected as a 3-day walkout is announced, and German farmers block major highways with tractors in protest against plans to scrap diesel tax break. It's all Germany.
And U.S. politics, we cover President Joe Biden's speech on Friday.
Tokyo Haneda crash. How safe are carbon composite fiber fuselages used in modern aircraft?
And we cover the war in Sudan.
Men put skin in the game as self-care market booms.
Those stories and more, which is National Bubble Bath Day, January 8th, 2024, and Before Coffee.
All right, our first news story, or two news stories, very short about both things happening in Germany. Germany's big on the news today. This is from Rebecca Ann Hughes with APTN. Members of a union representing German train drivers announced open-ended strikes in bitter dispute. Rail travel in Germany was plagued by strikes in 2023, and the industrial action shows no sign of slowing down as the new year begins. Members of a union representing German train drivers have voted overwhelmingly to stage open-ended strikes in 2024 in a bitter dispute with the main national railway operator Deutsche Bahn over working hours and pay. The first walkouts will begin on Wednesday, the 10th of January, and will last for 3 days. In December, the GDL union launched a 24-hour public transport walkout, causing severe disruption to services run by the Deutsche Bahn. What are Germany's rail workers striking? The GDL union has voted overwhelmingly to authorize fully fledged strikes at state-owned DB. The group staged a 24-hour warning strike on December 8th, a common tactic in German wage negotiations, but the disagreement continues to escalate. GDL's chairman, Klaus Weselski, declared last month that negotiations with DB have failed after only 2 rounds of talks. The central issue is the union's call for shift workers' hours to be reduced from 38 to 35 hours per week without a paid reduction, a demand at which employers so far have balked. GDL is seeking to raise of $555 per month for employees, plus a one-time payment of $3,000 to counter inflation. DB has said it's made an offer that amounts to $11 per raise. How will these affect passengers in Germany? The dispute has escalated unusually fast and will begin affecting travelers from this week. 3-day strikes have been announced beginning on the 10th of January in response to the lack of negotiable offer from Deutsche Bahn over pay. Train drivers will walk out from 2 a.m. on Wednesday to 5 p.m. on Friday, while freight workers will start on Tuesday at 6 p.m. DB says the stoppages will seriously disrupt operations. This is likely to be just the beginning of strikes this year. Yeah, because it is the beginning of the year. What is coming now will be more powerful, longer, and harder for customers than the walkout so far, Weselski says. During the warning strike early in December, long-distance regional and S-Bahn services were subject to delays and cancellations. Other railway companies such as Transdev Group, including Bayerische Oberlandbahn and Nordwestbahn, were also affected. DB advised passengers to avoid rail travel during strikes. Please refrain from unnecessary journeys during the GDL strike and postpone your journey to another time, they said. In April, Railway Workers Union EVG also went on strike to push for wage increases, causing rail transport to be paralyzed for the morning. The group also walked out in March, causing a long-distance DB train to be halted for a day. EVG's dispute with DB was settled earlier this year after both sides accepted a proposal by arbiters. Refunds! So what are your rights in Germany? your journey is affected, you have various options according to Deutsche Bahn. In some cases, you can put a special arrangement in place, allowing you to bring forward your journey and travel ahead of planned strike time. You can postpone your journey and use a ticket at a later date for your choosing. There's no limit on when your ticket can be used. Seat reservations can be canceled free of charge, and if your train has been canceled, you can get a full refund with no deductions. In more German news, of course, from Ruth Wright and with AP, Germany is also causing commuters around the world to face severe disruptions. What is today? The 8th? Yeah, this morning, today, the 8th of January, as a massive protest by farmers blocks roads across the country. In coordination action, farmers have driven their tractors onto the highway, slip roads, and smaller roads. It is the beginning of a week of a protest against the government's plan to scrape tax breaks on diesel using agriculture. Protesters in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin had signs attached to the tractors with signs like, "No farmer, no future." In the northeastern state of Mecklenburg, Western Pomerania, farmers blocked motorways, slip roads with hundreds of tractors. They were supported by haulage companies protesting against the increase in lorry tolls. So, first it was just the farmer tractors, and then some truckers also were like, "Hey, I'm gonna join. Hey, reduce our tolls, goddamn you!" In the district of Kloppenburg in northwest Lower Saxony, a main road was blocked by 40 vehicles. In Saxony, according to police, some motorway slip roads in Dresden area were unusable. There were also gatherings on the A4, the A13, the A14, and A17 motorways. Why are German farmers protesting? Chancellor Olaf Scholz's unpopular three-party coalition infuriated farmers in December by drawing up plans to abolish a car tax exemption from farming vehicles and the diesel tax breaks. The proposal was part of a package to fill a 17 billion euro hole in the 2024 budget. That's 18.6 billion US dollars. The government on Thursday climbed down partially, saying that the car tax exemption would be retained and the cuts in diesel tax breaks would be staged over 3 years. But the German Farmers Association said it was still insisting on the plans of being reversed fully and would go ahead with a week of action starting Monday. The protests are under scrutiny after a group of farmers on Thursday prevented Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck from disembarking on a ferry in the small North Sea port as he returned from a personal trip on an offshore island, which we talked about last week. The budget revamp that included this disputed cuts was required after Germany's highest court annulled an earlier decision to repurpose a 60 billion euro, almost 66 billion USD, originally meant to cushion the fallout from COVID-19 pandemic for measures to help combat climate change and modernize the country. The maneuver fell afoul of Germany's strict self-imposed limits on running up debt. And now they're taking it on the farmer instead of them just paying attention to their books. Where was the bookkeeper? Why didn't they stop him? Who knows? But we will, keep reporting on this news and let you know how angry the Germans get over the next week as they can't use trains and they can't get anywhere in their car. Your story.
Okay. Well, sorry, before the Friday news dump happened, we had a speech. That was supposed to take place on January 6th, but the weather, as it did for George Washington and his troops, didn't cooperate, so Joe Biden made the speech on Friday. So, this is from CNN Politics, Michael Williams. The value Americans place on democracy is the most urgent question of our time, President Joe Biden said during a speech kicking off his 24 campaign in Pennsylvania on the eve of the third anniversary of January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, launching an impassioned political attack on his likely opponent, defendant Jay Trump, that painted a sharp distinction between how the nation's first 45 presidents ended their terms. Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you. Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. He's willing to sacrifice our democracy, put himself in power, Biden said. The backdrop of Biden's speech near Valley Forge, where George Washington rallied an undersupplied and demoralized Continental Army on the height of the American Revolution, gave the president the opportunity to contrast Washington, who would eventually set the precedent of relinquishing presidential power in the face of an adoring new nation, with Trump, who went to extraordinary lengths to maintain his grip on power, encouraging supporters to march on the Capitol as he refused to accept the result of the 2020 election. Biden sought to jolt the memories of Americans who, at a removal of 3 years, may view his predecessor's term with rose-tinted glasses of the chaotic end of Trump's presidency. 3 years ago, Biden said on Friday, we nearly lost America. For the first time in our history, insurrectionists had come to stop the peaceful transfer of power in America. First time. Smashing windows, shattering doors, attacking the police. Outside, gallows was erected at MAGA. Crowd chanted, hang Mike Pence. Inside, they hunted for Speaker Pelosi. His message could rally a base that has been souring. Stop that nonsense. Polling, blah, blah, polling. Majority Americans, blah, 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 blah. The president made clear he believes the threat to American democracy is not abstract and directly placed in the blame of the deaths of several people who died on January 6th. Donald Trump's lies. They died because his lies brought a mob to Washington. As usual, left the dirty work to others. Trump, in response, blah, 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 blah. In an interview with Fox, Biden's speech, Trump, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Okay.
You can report anything on this?
Both siderism. Referencing the reverberations of election denialism, Biden mentioned the October 2022 attack on Paul Pelosi by a hammer-wielding man who was looking for his wife. Trump later mocked Paul Pelosi. He laughed about it, Biden said of Trump. What a sick, he paused before stopping himself, prompting the crowd to laugh.
Sick
Who in
bastard.
God's name does he think he is? With the passage of time, politics, fear, money have all intervened. All of these mega boys who know the truth about Trump on January 6th have abandoned the truth and abandoned democracy. They've made their choice. Now the rest of us, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we have to make our choice. I know mine. I believe I know America's. There's something dangerous happening in America's, Biden said in an ad. Oh, this is first campaign ad, sorry. So, Trump responds, it's called Biden dangerous. And I'm like, you know what? Trump is arguing in the Supreme Court is that presidents have absolute immunity. Who does he think that affects? Let me guess. The current president, perhaps.
Yeah.
So why would he want the guy who he hates to have absolute immunity? He can just go arrest Trump now. Lock him up. I have absolute immunity. I can lock up my political enemies. Anyway, there's your story. I'm going to try to find a transcript that ain't too long. Maybe a few seconds.
Okay.
All right.
The polling at it again. Yeah, we think we know what everyone believes because we asked your grandpa over the phone, you know?
Yeah. 72% answered this leading question that we asked the one way we wanted to ask it. And then we reached our conclusion for that one question that we posed.
People say they like the color purple, so we decided that they hate Biden.
They blame... How much, now here's the question, how much do you blame Joe Biden for the economy? I was like, I don't really thought about it, but I guess a lot now.
That's a good point.
It
is his fault.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking
blame
of
for what
fault,
economy? Economy's great, morons. Economy's great. Wake up, morons. Anyway.
Speaking of fault, what's to blame for the Tokyo Haneda crash? Is it the carbon composite fiber fuselages that are used in modern aircraft? This is from Associated Press. Carbon fibers have been used in thousands of aircraft in the skies above us, including the one that crashed in Tokyo this week. Is the material safe? The fuselage of the jetliner involved in the collision was made of carbon composite fibers, and the incident is renewing concerns about the challenges of putting out fires involving the material. The fire is shaping up as a key test of the safety of composite materials compared with conventional airplane fuselages made of aluminum. Investigators appear to be focused immediately on the communication between the pilots and both of the plane's air traffic controllers at Haneda Airport. Transcript releases on Wednesday indicated that the landing Japan Airlines JAL A350 had permission to use the runway, but the Japanese Coast Guard plane did not. Safety experts are praising the airline's crew after everybody was able to escape the burning aircraft. 5 people on the Coast Guard plane were killed, unfortunately. Composites have been used for many years inside commercial planes, such as floorboards and other structures. Boeing built the first commercial plane with a fuselage and wings made of composite reinforced with carbon fibers, the 787. The plane went into airline service in 2011 and has about 1,100 have been produced. Airbus followed in 2018 with the A350, like the 2-year-old plane involved in Tuesday's collision, or last Tuesday's collision, I should say, and has sold about 570 of them. In aircraft, composite materials contain carbon fiber to give more strength to plastic and other materials. According to Boeing, they produce weight savings of about 20% compared with aluminum, a significant amount considering how much less fuel a lighter plane will burn. The strength of composites was tested during the certification by regulators, including the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration (FAA), and Boeing said it made changes in the 787 as a result. But experts say there are limits to our understanding of the material's performance. There has always been a concern about composites that catch fire because the fumes are toxic, said John Goglia, a former member of the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB), which investigates accidents in the United States. The threat continues as long as the airplane burns, actually after, because those fibers might be floating around in the smoke. While the JAL plane caught fire, filling the cabin with smoke, all 379 passengers and crew members were able to escape. The fuselage protected them from really horrific fire. It did not burn for some period of time and let everybody get out, said safety consultant John Cox, and that is a positive sign. Goglia said that there's no real-world evidence on whether composite skins are better or worse than aluminum at resisting fire or heat long enough to give passengers a chance to escape. Until now, aircraft manufacturers are supposed to show that the planes can be evacuated in 90 seconds with half the exit blocks, although skeptics question the accuracy of U.S. government-run tests. But on Tuesday night, video captured a fireball on the JL plane as it continued down the runway after the crash. The flammability issue is something they have to look at, but obviously nobody on the aircraft burned to death, said aviation lawyer Justin Green, and that's always a positive, not burning to death. It seems the fuselage and the seats made of fire-retardant material. Everything else protected the flight crew and the passengers. Is the smoke dangerous though? Passengers on the JL plane said the cabin filled with thick smoke within minutes. Video posted by passengers showed people using handkerchiefs to cover their mouths and ducking low as they moved towards the exits. There has long been concern about toxic smoke released when carbon-reinforced composites burn. As far back as the 1990s, the FAA said the main health hazards from composites present in plane crashes and fires were sharp, splinters from exposed material, fibrous dust, and toxic gases generated from burning resins. From early reports, it appears that there was a significant amount of smoke in the cabin, but it's not clear if any of the smoke was from the burning composites, said Todd Curtis, a former Boeing engineer who is now a safety consultant. Curtis said a key follow-up for the investigators and regulators will be monitoring whether passengers or firefighters were injured by exposed to toxic smoke from the burning composite. Those injuries could take a long time to show up, said Stephen Marks, an aviation lawyer. He said passengers involved in accidents are usually in shock and often don't immediately recognize the severity of their injuries. Another concern, experts say, was the amount of time it took firefighters at Haneda to extinguish the blaze and the risk to the first responders. Curtis, the former Boeing engineer, said both in Haneda crash and the 2013 fire on Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 787 that was parked on London's Heathrow Airport, putting out the fire took much more effort than a typical airline fire. The official report said that fire at the Heathrow started with crossed wires in the plane's emergency locator transmitter, but added the resin in the composite material provided fuel for the fire, allowing slow-burning fire to become established in the fuselage crown. Curtis said the incident made him worry about the fuselage fires on the ground and in the air back in 2013. These concerns have not gone away. But don't be scared of riding in a plane. These things are not very frequent at all, as we just talked about. 2013 was the last big airplane fire, maybe even in the 1990s. So they're really not common. So don't, freak out and think, oh God, my plane's gonna burn up. Even if it does, you'll probably get out safely because it looks like, all 379 passengers were able to escape. So there's your news on carbon fiber in your plane fuselage. I don't know if we'll
I'll tell
report
you.
on this again, but good job, all the firefighters who worked on that fire and got everyone out. Your story.
No, I've been on a plane. I know I've flown thousands of times, so I have been on planes where you smell fire, and it's like the worst. It's like, does everybody else smell that? Should I say anything to anyone else? Like, does that? Am I like that smell's not going away? An hour later, like
We
you're on
put
a
it
plane.
out.
What are you supposed to
We
do?
lost an engine. Don't worry about
Everybody
it.
panic. Yeah, people running up and down the aisles is not a good sign either. All right, in war news, this is from NorthNewJersey.com. Richard Colasera. This is like a local take on international affairs. It hasn't got much attention as Ukraine or the Israel-Hamas war, but Musab Abed's homeland has been torn apart by conflict. There's little he can do from his Jersey City home, but look on with despair. Let me close that ad. The East African nation of Sudan is in the midst of a devastating civil war that has killed over 12,000 people and displaced more than 7.3 million within the country since fighting began in April, according to data from the United Nations. The situation is very bad, said Ahmed, 41, an electrical engineer who's part of New Jersey's small Sudanese community. The luckier ones were able to move from the capital, Khartoum, right? Some get to my city of Madani. This town is still safe, but we don't know what's going to happen. All over the country, there's no school. All the schools are occupied by people running from the capital. The hospitals are very critical and very bad. They can't get drugs. They can't get any medication like that. Just under 1,000 Sudanese immigrants live in the Garden State, according to the U.S. Census American Community Survey. Over 70,000 have settled in the U.S. overall, the same survey estimates. Why the civil war in Sudan escalated? Ahmad's hometown in Madani is in the eastern part of Sudan, about 100 miles from Khartoum. Although Madani initially escaped the worst of the conflict, it became unsafe after the country's army lost control of the area to the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, the BBC reported in late December. The two armed groups were once allies in bringing down the repressive former leader of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, in 2019, but have since become mired in a power struggle, reported the Council on Foreign Relations. Fighting has escalated since April with the assassination of a governor in Sudan's Darfur region, numerous villages set on fire, and a multi-attack in November that killed over 800 people. A sliver of hope came last week when RSF said it was open to negotiations for a ceasefire, Reuters reported. Sudanese people have immigrated to the U.S. from their home nation since the 1980s when the Civil War was raging through the country. For many years, Khalid Mujab's 80-year-old mother traveled from her native Sudan to stay with her son in the United States for part of the year before going back home to avoid New Jersey winters. This year, she came to the U.S. to stay with her son and his 3 adult children at their Jersey City home, before leaving in October. But a return to Sudan was not an option. Mujab's mother was detoured to Saudi Arabia, where she's staying with one of his brothers. Typically, she would come back to stay with me for a time and then go back to Sudan, where she feels comfortable. That's her house. That's her everything. Her memories, her life. Now there's no Sudan. She's feeling depressed and she's feeling hopeless. Imagine being pulled out of your little kingdom.
Yeah.
Ahmed, electrical engineer for a company in New York City, came to the U.S. in a roundabout way. He left Sudan in 2008 because he was opposed to the government and did not see an economic future for himself. He first emigrated to United Arab Emirates, where he stayed for 8 years. The last time he traveled to his home country was in 2016 to see family, he said. That same year, he settled in Jersey City, where he now lives with his wife and 1-year-old son. Ahmad said he has no plans to ever return to Madani or any other part of the Sudan. There wouldn't be anyone to visit, he said. Most of my family and friends have fled to Khartoum or Egypt or Saudi Arabia, or they flee to safer parts of Sudan. While he misses much of his family overseas, Ahmad has a brother who lives in Piscataway, and he is part of a small community of fellow Sudanese who have landed in Jersey City. They send money to help relatives still living closer to the war zone. Everybody I know in the community of Jersey City or Sudanese community in New Jersey is now in New Jersey now has to pay the bills for families and relatives. These people, they have no shelter right now. Maybe they're lucky to get to other countries, but they don't have any income. They don't have anything. He does not see the war stopping anytime soon based on the intensity of the fighting, but he hopes it does for the sake of the people. We pray just to stop the war. We want people to come back to their homes, to come back to their families and their children, to go back to schools. If we could get that right now, we would be thankful. Mojub, a retired U.S. postal worker who has lived in the U.S. for almost 30 years, said his mother is on a 3-month visa in Saudi Arabia, which he hopes will be renewed by January 11th to allow her to stay at least another 3 months. Another brother and his sister went to Egypt to escape the war. Meanwhile, most of his extended family, who had resided in Khartoum, moved to other parts of Sudan that are currently safer. Most of my extended family are displaced, but they are not the only ones, as so many other people in the country are also displaced. So there's a brief story. It goes on for a little bit longer about the impact of war. The war we never see on the news. Well, one of the wars. Maybe tomorrow we'll discover one of the other wars going on there. Just, hey, yeah, them folks are irritated too. We're all like a bunch of angry ants just stomping around on the anthill, mad about our stuff being messing with our stuff. Go back to you.
All right. People just trying to live and not allowed to. Let's talk about some more positive news, or maybe not positive, depending on who you are. Because men are starting to care about how they look by buying products. At least in the Western market, because I know for a fact in like the Korean market, men have always been caring about how they look. But now it's happening to us over here. This is from Phoebe Larner on Euronews Culture. From face creams to foot baths, the male beauty market has experienced a major boom as a growing number of men are saying no to toxic masculinity and yes to more self-care love. Due in part to a shifting perception of conventional masculinity, and with the low-maintenance masculine type no longer set as the standard, men are being encouraged to indulge in self-care. This has led to a male beauty market to experience a major boom. A report from the market insight company Statista suggests the global male grooming market will be worth around $105 billion by 2028, up from nearly $73 billion since 2022. Wow, maybe they can help Germany with their budget. Education is a big part of their developed trend. Men are becoming more aware of the benefits of a good self-care routine. This is increasingly found with skincare. Just to take a casual look at the ads during any major sporting event, men looking after themselves, albeit in a minimalist way, are all over the place. From a marketing point of view, brands are contributing to the growth by developing ways to make their products more appealing to men, usually by marketing their efficacy or sticking a more gender-neutral looking package. Or my favorite thing is naming it something like soap that smells like a barbecue fire and stuff like that. Like, oh no, men can't smell like flowers. They have to smell like the oil underneath something your truck. Yeah. Oh, we put that. That's some good soap. The oil underneath my truck. So that's what they mean by more like they say gender neutral, but men attitudes towards self-care and pampering saw an initial shift during the COVID-19 pandemic. While in lockdown, some indulged more in beauty products. Fashion and beauty website Glossy says working from home allowed men to experiment with skincare and cosmetics in ways that they hadn't before. Since confinement ended, men have continued to stick to their newfound self-care habits. According to the market research company Grandview Research, skincare sales make up 45.6% of the global men's grooming market, placing the sector ahead of the game, followed closely by hairstyling products. This is due to more men buying organic hair products, changing hairstyle trends, and hair colorants becoming more popular. Social media, in particular TikTok, seem to be the biggest influence behind growing awareness of male self-care. Men's skincare account for hashtag men's skincare accounts for 704.7 million views, and men's grooming has over 2.1 billion views on the app. It doesn't come as a surprise. People are using various platforms to share tips and tricks on the best grooming techniques, and social media is a place where physical appearance is heavily highlighted. According to Derm Doctor, a popular dermatologist who creates information skincare TikToks, TikTok has created a wealth of beauty content, including tips and tutorials on skincare, hair care, and grooming. The ease of access to this information has made it available to men for the first time. After seeing beauty content from male influencers on social media, an increasing number of men are getting taste for trying out various cosmetics and are trying to better take care of the way they look, proving that cosmetics and pampering aren't just reserved for women. A take of action that confronts ideas of toxic masculinity. Yeah, I mean, she says specifically this is the first time men have been able to see these things. I think that's why, the reason why is you wouldn't ever find like a man buying like a Cosmopolitan magazine, you know? Like, they would, you know, people would be like, oh, what are you, gay, reading Cosmopolitan, you know? And I'm, oh no, my masculinity, I can't be gay. So yeah, that's definitely a thing that's existed for a while, men taking care of themselves, but it was mostly people who are gay who take care of themselves for the most part. And now I guess what we're saying is that also straight men are starting to take care of themselves, I think is what this article is trying to say. However, it isn't just cosmetics that make up male self-care, but also beauty outings. More men are feeling comfortable with indulging in manicures and pedicures. Some think Harry Styles might have influenced the launch of his own non-gendered beauty brand, Pleasing, back in 2021. The brand features a line of nail, lip, and skincare. This is a new way of self-expression, calls for a new sense of freedom. I know a lot of people who paint their nails that are men, who are straight men. Some people just think it's fun to, you know, put some paint on their nails. I don't paint my nails because I'm lazy and it's too much work, and I end up just flaking it off anyways. So I don't paint my nails, but I am growing these nails naturally, so be impressed, I guess. I know Rog, for example, he's uses freaking butter, coconut butter on your hair. don't reveal his secrets. His secrets.
Coconut butter? What the hell are you talking about?
Don't
worry, you didn't reveal any secret with that nonsense. That was nothing.
when we're on vacation together, you had to buy.
That has nothing to do with anything I do. What?
When we're traveling,
it's called shea butter.
Yeah, shea butter. That's what it's called. Yeah, there you go.
And never found it, by the way. Never found it. So.
All right. Well, that's my story. So. On to this day in history.
All right. This day in history. 1790. U.S. President George Washington delivered the first State of the Union, the annual address to Congress. This day, January 8th. 1815. U.S. General Andrew Jackson defeated the Great Britain at the Battle of New Orleans, the first engagement of the final engagement of the War of 1812. How could it be the first in 1815? Of course, the started in 1814, I imagine. 1862, American publisher Frank Nelson Doubleday, founder of the book publishing firm Doubleday and Company, was born. In 1918, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson announced his 14 points, an outline for peace following World War I. In 1942, English theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking was born. And you know who Stephen Hawking is? You should.
Yeah. What are you doing?
The man who developed the theory of exploding black holes and drew upon both relativity theory and quantum mechanics was born. Famously had a muscle dystrophy disease that left him in a wheelchair, and he could not even talk except with the aid of a computer. 1959, Charles de Gaulle was inaugurated as president of France's Fifth Republic. 1998, Ramzi Ahmed Youssef, convicted of plotting the 1993 terrorist bombing of the World Trade Center, was sentenced to life in prison. That was the first World Trade Center bombing. 2011 U.S. Yeah. 2011 U.S. Representative Gabby Giffords was shot during an assassination attempt. Although she survived, 6 others were killed. Another moron. Just thinks guns going to solve problems. Never solved the problem yet. Not one. More events. 2016, Mexican criminal Joaquin Guzman, or as we know him as El Chapo, head of the Sinaloa drug cartel, was captured in Los Mochis after escaping prison some 6 months earlier. He was later extradited to the United States, where he's convicted of various crimes. El Chapo captured on this day. Featured events on this day. Anniversary of the Grimaldi rule in Monaco. On this day in 1997, the Principality of Monaco began a year-long celebration of the honor of the 700th anniversary of the rule of the Grimaldi family, who seized power in 1297 and gained firm possession of Monaco in 1419. So today is the anniversary of the 700th. Okay, so 27 years ago was the 700th anniversary. Not today. Okay, whatever. So today's our 727th anniversary of that, because whatever. Well, they had a big celebration of Monaco back in '97. I guess that's what we're commemorating. Featured birthday today, Elvis Presley was born January 8th, 1935. Happy birthday to Elvis. Elvis was born today. He would be 89. He wouldn't even be 90 yet. He died on August 17th, 1977 at the age of 42. Other birthdays today, Shirley Bassey, Welsh singer. David Bowie's birthday today. He was born in 1947. Shirley Bassey, born in 37. R. Kelly, born in 1967. Is he still locked up? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
And Kim Jong.
That's not
Kim
a celebration.
Huh?
No, sorry. No, just R. Kelly is not
North
a
Korean
celebration.
political official, locked birthday in 1984. What days is it today? I know you're anxious to know. It's a lot of things today. It is National Argyle Day.
Argyle.
Argyle, it's a kind of a semi-plaid design type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't really call it plaid. It's checkered squares, kind of.
Checkered squares.
Kind of preppy, kind of, I went to Harvard kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, I have no idea. What people like that wear. National Bubble Bath today, which is part of your self-care thing.
Yeah.
It's not your self-care, of course.
Yeah, I don't have I wish, but we don't have a bath. I can't take any bath.
It's National English Toffee Day. Yeah, and English toffee's good. National Joy Germ Day? What's Joy Germ? Do you know? I don't.
No.
National Clean Off Your Desk Day.
Oh, shit.
National
I have to do
Clean
that
Off Your
now.
Joy Germ? What?
I need to clean my desk off, let me tell you. And now it's the day to do it. It's the day today.
National Clean Off Your Desk Day, or as I call it, National Fat Chance Day. National Winter Skin Relief Day. There you go, more self-care.
Yeah,
National
look at
Winter
that.
Skin Relief Day. National Career Coach Day. Career coach. I want that job. I want to be a career coach. Can I be that? Somebody pay me to do that. Okay, let's figure out you know what Joy Germ is?
No, you have to look it up.
Yeah. On January 8th, National Joy Germ Day, Ellen reminds people across the country that being positive and treating people with kindness can influence those around them and pass that positive attitude on to others. So Joy Germ. It's kind of like pay it forward. Be nice to somebody. It's also good karma. It's basically good karma.
Yeah.
You can spread karma. You're nice to the first person you see on the day. They're nice to somebody. It just spreads nationwide
everyone's
eventually.
happy.
Everybody
Yay.
sees everybody. I'll give you an example. Somebody bought me breakfast the other day at Dunkin' Donuts. The person in front of me in line, drive-through, bought me breakfast.
Nice.
Right? I get up to the window. They say, "Hey, they bought your breakfast." And I was like, well, I guess I'll buy breakfast for the person behind me. Which, of course, cost me like $5 extra, which I didn't know.
Oh, no.
All right. First, I should have said, wait, they're not ordering the house breakfast or whatever it is. You know?
The master of the house.
Seven slabs of ham and 3 chickens. No, it was only $11. But, you know, pay it forward, in other words.
Yeah.
Those are the days for today, January 8th, 2024, on Before Coffee.
All right, and this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, where it's cold, but it's not snowing. I'm just pretending that it is. And we will see you tomorrow on Good News Tuesday to cover some good stuff that's happening. If there's anything, we will find it. We can guarantee we'll find the good news happening. So I'll see you tomorrow for that, and here is your mic drop moment.
Let's be clear about the 2020 election. Trump exhausted every legal avenue available to him to overturn the election. Every one. But the legal path just took Trump back to the truth. That I'd won the election and he was a loser. Well, so knowing how his mind works now, he had one act left, one desperate act available to him: the violence of January the 6th.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels: Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.